All right, and we're back. Welcome into Rockhound Detroit Lions. Do me a huge favor, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We've got some breaking news. Now it's a little bit later breaking news because I decided to talk to myself for 8 minutes. But the Detroit Lions have decided to let go John Morton as the offensive coordinator today. Happened roughly 20, 25 minutes ago, probably at this point. And there's been a few other coaches that have been let go kind of within the same timeline. So what I was saying when I was talking to myself is, I was not real surprised that this happened. One, because I believe that Dan Campbell is not afraid to put business first, right? It's the team before anything else. It's always team first. He has a great relationship with Johnny Moe, and he did not let that get in the way of what he had to do as a coach. And I'm really not surprised that it happened today. Dan Campbell needed, a couple of days to think about it, like he had said, and probably wanted to see what was going to happen around the league too. See, who's going to come available. I mean, not really, not a whole lot of names have come available just yet. But then there is the possibility of this. Dan Campbell on Monday, or was it Sunday night? No, it was Monday. Had said that he has not fully let go the idea of being the play caller for 2026. To sum it up in so many words. And I know a lot of you probably feel like that's a bad idea. It's a bad decision. I do. I'd rather see Dan Campbell just be the head coach. And he's probably wrestling with this entire idea of what he is going to do for 2026. But at least now we know for the second year in a row, your Detroit Lions are going to be on the hunt for an offensive coordinator. The question is, who makes sense? And what are the Lions going to do? Is it Scotty Montgomery? Is it Hank Fraley? Those are the only two names that really excite me from inside the building. And the reason why I say that is I really don't want to see Hank Fraley leave the offensive coordinator position. And outside of that, I don't want to see Dan Campbell just make a decision to keep Hank if someone else is going to give him a position and just excel him to, the offensive coordinator position, even if he's not ready for it. If I'm making sense there. And Scotty Montgomery, being the assistant head coach and being well-versed in the run game and what this offense is all about, I think it's a natural progression for him. And he's, got that young, fiery, energetic attitude all about him. I think he would probably make the best offensive coordinator out of the bunch that we have there. But then again, why not go outside the building? I know a lot of you have spoken highly on, Mike McDaniels, if he's let go. John Harbaugh, the other breaking news just a few moments ago, he was also let go as the head coach of the Ravens. So there's plenty of coaches that are becoming available. And the question is, would he bring in an outside talent that was a former head coach? What I said earlier was that Dan Campbell's not afraid. He is not afraid to bring in the best of the best. He's not afraid for his job. He's team first. If he were to get fired because he brings somebody in that's better than him, then so be it. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Dan's not afraid of that. He knows that his number one job and Brad's number one job is to put the best football team on the field. He will always have an opportunity within the NFL. So I say all that to say, what's next for the Lions? Do you guys think that Kelvin Shepherd is going to retain his job? Is there any inkling of an idea in your brain that is telling you that Kelvin Shepherd is on the hot seat right now? Because I don't think so. I don't think so one bit. I kind of got away from myself there because I talked to myself for 8 minutes straight. But the other thought process to this is what Graham Glasgow said yesterday. That we didn't have anybody else in the building to call plays but Dan. So that kind of makes me think we're going outside the building. Do you remember me talking about that this morning? If you were in this morning, I mentioned it, how Graham Glasgow, we listened to it. You kind of have to pull it out of there, but he mentioned that Dan was obviously the clear and obvious choice. Not to quote him, because I'm not quoting him, but the clear and obvious choice, maybe the only choice of what we had inside the building. So that makes me believe that we will go outside the building to find somebody if what he is saying is valid and true. But let me get into the chat. Let me hear what you guys have to say about this for a moment. I've done talked myself out of this whole topic that was supposed to be 8 minutes and off. Keep Shep 100%. I'm with you there, Serge. Let's see. Robert Corsini says, call for Dan to be fired is about as stupid as calling for Caldwell to be fired. How did that work out? Who's calling for Dan to be fired? Are we kidding right now? We've got to be joking, right? I mean, soon to be winningest coach in Detroit history within the next 2 seasons. 4 straight winning seasons in a row. 2 seasons with playoffs. I think we're doing okay. I think we're doing all right. I think we can all agree that the last 2 seasons have been an anomaly, not expected. Few teams have gone through it. We're not the only one, but they're going to get a lot of things fixed this offseason, and it starts with personnel. I think this draft is going to be great. Matter of fact, I just released my second of 6 articles today on DetroitFootballJournal.com. If you are not familiar, if you have not subscribed to this channel, would love to have you all in. Please subscribe, like, share with a friend, hype it up when you're done. But here, let me share an article with y'all. If you sign up right now, it's free. Just put your email in and sign up. And I'm kind of giving it some time, but I'm going to give you 6 months for free. No paywall. You don't have to pay a dime. You don't have to put a credit card in. None of that good stuff. But this is where you're going to get all of my draft work. So I'm all about the draft. That's what I do. Like, I'm all about analysis and doing draft work. So if you want great information on the draft, this is where it's going to be. We'll also put videos up here on YouTube. They're also going to be on DetroitFootballJournal.com, where we're making it happen. So I would like to know from you, who is the number 1 offensive coordinator option at this point in your opinion? Oh, looks like Raw B wants to open the lines. Okay, Raw B's got something to say. Let's get him on the line. Give me just a second, Raw. Jobless Tuesdays now instead of Black Monday. Why do they call it Black Monday? I've never understood that. Mike McDaniel's interview. I've seen that name thrown around a lot. A ton. A lot of trolls in here, I see. I haven't really paid attention to the chat a whole lot. I was lucky to even see that I had no audio there for a moment. I'll blame it on the dog. He tore apart all my wires today. Not by purpose. He just kind of ran through them. All right, give me 1 second, Raw. Let me make sure that we're good to go here. As long as you can hear this, then you can call in. So Mike McDaniels seems Daboll. So I was interested in Daboll too, and they do have a really good relationship. Him and Dan Campbell. As a matter of fact, hey, good afternoon, Raw. Give me just 1 second, okay? Hold on. You're not showing up. You're not showing up on the. Say something again. You're on my phone. You're not even on. You got to call back, buddy. Sorry about that, Raw. If you can hear me, you just got to call back. I accidentally answered it on my phone. Anyway, Daboll. I believe that Daboll is a good option as well. They have a really good relationship. I did an article on Daboll several months ago, and we started talking about offensive coordinator options, and Hank Fraley. Matter of fact, here's one on Hank Fraley. You should read that because it talks about offensive coordinator in there with him. All right, Raw, now I should have you on the line.
Thank you. Can y'all hear me?
I got you now. What's happening, man? What's on your mind? Johnny Morton is fired. What do you think about it?
I think him just being in the building was a formality that was very much a poisonous formality. I think he should have been gone after week 6 when the play calling duties were taken away from him. At that point, he really served no purpose other than sitting in the booths and talking to the announcers.
So, I mean, you've been with me all season, so you know that I felt that something was off all year, and it was probably right around week 4 or 5 that it really started for me. Do you really think that him inside the building was creating more issues than we are already having?
I do believe so.
Huh.
I do believe so. I think he was weighing in on personnel decisions, play calls, game scheme, drive scheme. I think it was formations. I think he was. I mean, Dan's going to use what he has around him, right? He's the head coach. He's in charge of much more than just the offensive performance on the field. He's in charge of the defense. He's in charge of the special teams. He's in charge of players, whether they're healthy or injured or designated for IR. Like, Dan Campbell has a lot on his plate as a head coach, as every head coach does. And with Johnny Morton still being a part of the team activities, I think he was evidently doing more harm than good. I mean, you took away his key role responsibility of calling plays. So now you put the pressure on yourself to call the plays that he wants, that he's setting up for you to call, the scheme that he's setting up for you to run. And it's not fair to Johnny Morton, and it's not fair to Dan Campbell. Yes, I'm aware our offense was a top 5 performing offense. However, if you look at what our offense achieved last year to where it was a top 3 all-time performance versus a top 5 in the year performance, you can definitely see a decline in production versus what we did versus what we did.
I gotcha. So let me throw some names. I don't know if you're well versed on all of these names. I mean, obviously, you know a lot about the NFL, and I'm not as well versed on all of these guys as far as, you know, how good they are, what type of scheme, you know, because when you're a head coach, some of them are head coaches, it's a little bit different, right? I mean, it's not really your scheme, it's your offensive coordinator scheme, and you're just kind of helping to push it along, you know, to some degree. But I'm going to start with Brian Daboll. You know, I don't really know what went wrong in New York. You know, the Giants' offensive regression under Daboll was undeniable, but he also did some amazing things with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Like, he went from the Buffalo Bills, amazing philosophy. I mean, everything was working there. And then he gets a head coaching job and everything just kind of fell apart for him. I don't know how you could blame everything on him, you know, with what happened with Daniel Jones. But then when Daniel Jones, I mean, rekindled his career this year, it's like, okay, was Daboll the issue? Is he a quarterback killer? That is the one biggest question I have on Daboll is, would he come to Detroit and cause issues? I don't think Dan Campbell would let it. We saw issues this year with Morton, but do you believe that Daboll could be an option?
I do. And the reason why I do is I think Daboll and Dan Campbell would instantly hit it off.
Oh, yeah.
I think they have the same sort of intensity, personality.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's going to be the perfect marriage. I just think their personalities would blend very, very well together.
Yeah, I think
Daboll did some really creative things in Buffalo,
and
he tried to bring that to New York, and the talent gap from what he had versus what he had wasn't adequate enough for him to do some of the things he wanted to do, and ultimately led to his demise.
Well, I mean, I'll say this. So speaking to the fit in Detroit, the upside obviously is key. Brian Daboll's work with Josh Allen, you know, in Buffalo, I think it does represent one of the most impressive offensive coordinator resumes in recent NFL history. His ability to develop raw quarterbacks was on display with Josh Allen. He turned him into an MVP candidate, and then he helped design a creative and aggressive offensive scheme. What Daboll wouldn't have, though, in Detroit is Josh Allen's legs underneath Jared Goff's arm. So that's something that he would have to be able to deal with, right? And manufacture an offense. I just don't know enough about Daboll's previous time as an offensive coordinator, previous time, you know, whether in the college ranks. Does he have it within him to be able to stick with the offensive game plan that the Lions are using? Or does Dan Campbell maybe want to bring, you know, a young pup in, an up-and-comer, that he can kind of have under his thumb and say, look, you're going to make sure that we do these things, and this has to be the priority. I just need you to figure out how to call it and, how to mix it up. I think that maybe the other option would be this, and I'd love to get your take on this. Jared Goff's play calling ability at the line, I think, has been really good. It's been on display a few times this year. Hell, in the game against the Bears, man, it seemed like we were killing everything very often. What do you think about just giving Jared Goff more of a leash?
I don't hate that idea. Jared Goff seems to be very in tune with his guys on this roster.
Mm-hmm.
He knows when to target certain options when the defense seems to have forgotten about them being on the field. Like, look at Tom Kennedy when he entered the game for us when St. Brown got hurt. He immediately lit up the Yak. Immediately. And the key reason to that being is the defense just didn't think of him on the field as an option. But you put the ball in his hands, he's making a guy miss here, a guy miss there. He's getting upfield. He's not the fastest player on the field. But I mentioned this in your morning show. He runs like a running back. He's as thick as a tight end, not quite as big, but as thick as a tight end. He's got great hands, but he runs like a running back. So all you got to do is get the ball in his hands and give him 2 or 3 yards of space, and he's going to make something happen. Kind of like David Montgomery. Give him the ball, and he's going to make something happen. We didn't do that this year. The only negative I would say about Brian Daboll is I think he sticks to primary players for too long. Evidently, that's what got Malik Neighbors injured.
Mm-hmm.
He became, although he's the number one target and he should get the greater volume of targets, but he seemed to want to try and force him the ball almost on every situation, and he really can't do that. I think that's where Jared Goff may add a little balance to Daboll, to where he just got through with putting up with Johnny Morton forcing the ball to Gibbs and St. Brown. I think he can use that experience and kind of bring Daboll down a little bit and say, hey, man, no, I want to get the ball over here. This is where we should attack the defense in this scenario, just because we've been focusing on that side a little bit too much. So I think the scenario could turn into the positive dealing with Johnny Morton, where it was make sure this is the person who touches the ball. This is the person who touches the ball. All game long, you just got to get them the ball, let them make a play. And that's where defenses were keying in on these guys. And thankfully, Gibbs didn't get injured this year, but we lost St. Brown for 3 weeks.
Okay,
because we were forcing him the ball.
I got you. There's a few other names that have been flying around, I love this idea, but I kind of hate this idea. If you defect from the Lions and you go to the Bears, why the hell would we want to bring you back? JT Barrett's name has been getting thrown around as a potential offensive coordinator option. He followed Ben Johnson to Chicago. Why would you ever want to bring that back? I'm sorry, I'm out on JT Barrett. He should have stayed. Maybe if he would have stayed, he would have been in line, right now. But I'm good on that, dude. Do you have, 2 cents on that?
Yeah, if you chose to leave the team, you should never be welcomed back to the team. That's my opinion.
It's that cut and dry, man. For me, it's that cut and dry. It's loyalty above all else for Dan Campbell, in my opinion. Bill's quarterback coach, Ronald Curry, is another name that has been flying around. But let's get to Hank Fraley. My biggest concern about Hank Fraley, Raw, is this. I don't want to see the guy be forced into an offensive coordinator position because another team is willing to take a chance on him as an offensive coordinator. I feel like if you put him into a position just to keep him in the building, it's not going to work out. I would much rather lose the guy and find someone else that can come in, and do the job. Maybe it's Frank Ragnow. Maybe he wants to be a coach. Maybe he wants to get on the squad and do something. Maybe Taylor Decker retires and comes back as a coach. I don't know. And I'm not saying that they're the answers right now. I mean, they would obviously need some time too. What do you think about Hank Fraley overall? I mean, obviously, I did a really long, very in depth article, kind of breaking down Hank Fraley. I think he's got the smarts. I think he has the intelligence. I'm just a little bit worried that maybe it's not enough.
In the instance of Hank Fraley, I like where he's at right now. Keep him in charge of the O-line, keep him in charge of the running backs. We expanded his role to kind of try and keep him in the building where we made him the running backs and the O-line.
Yeah,
that was my wife.
No, yeah, that's
being very loud for no reason.
That's all right. That's correct. We kept him in the building. We gave him the role of running backs, and I don't know that even worked out. I mean, our run game deflated a little bit there, so I'm not so sure.
I think it deflated because of Johnny Morton. I got to be honest with you. That's where my head is with this offense. He said he wasn't going to change anything, because why break what's not broken?
Mm-hmm.
We had the top 3 offense in the history of the league, and then we went to a top 5 offense over the course of a year. That's a downgrade. He changed everything that he said he wasn't going to do. We used Montgomery less. We relied too much on St. Brown. They started calling him Mr. Third Down. They were calling him that beforehand, but he wasn't getting all the third down targets in previous years, to where this year he became the only target on third down. And that kind of struck me as very odd, because we do have other complementary pieces, and we just weren't using them third downs.
So let me throw out 7 reasons why I thought that Hank Fraley could be the choice for the Detroit Lions. And it starts with number 1, continuity in a championship window. The Lions, right now, well, here's what I said. I said, this is not a time to kind of blow up what's working. Fraley represents continuity, keeping the offensive foundation intact while addressing the play calling issues that plagued John Morton's start to the 2025 season, which centered on communication, offensive identity, and continuation of the game plan from 2024. So continuing with where we were in this championship window, if you believe in the window, that was number 1. Number 2 was Campbell's vision, and then Fraley's execution. Dan Campbell has proven that he can call plays effectively, but he can't really do it long term. And it was my idea or my thought process here, while managing all of the head coaching responsibilities. Fraley can at least execute and execute Dan Campbell's vision because he already knows it intimately after 8 years together with Dan Campbell. Or with 8 years together with the Lions and 5 years with Dan Campbell. Then there's player trust and respect. I mean, the Lions locker room already trusts and respects Hank Fraley, so I don't think that there's going to be an issue there in developing or furthering relationships with everybody. Elite understanding of protection schemes. This one, I think, is the biggest for our run game. When we speak of our run game deflating, I think that the run schemes or the run protection schemes were probably what was missing the most. We saw a lot of 6- and 7-man protections under Ben Johnson. And this year, if we use 7-man protections 5 times, I would be surprised. But without utilizing more protection schemes, you're not going to have an evasive or an elusive or a power running game. Most offensive coordinators design plays and hope that the offensive line can protect them, right? Fraley designs plays knowing exactly what will work because he's been there, he's done that, he has a Super Bowl, he played the position for 10 years, he knows what he's doing. For whatever reason, whether it was Johnny Moe or Dan Campbell, I can't believe Dan Campbell would stop using the protections, but I don't get it, man. I don't know why that fell apart so fast. It was, one game it was here, the next game it was gone, but we never utilized the protections to keep this run game alive all season. And then number 5 was the center's advantage, right? Offensive cohesion. The center is the communication hub of the offense. We know that. Everything flows through the center, the protection calls, run blocking schemes, the audibles, the adjustments. Fraley's expertise in the run game, the foundation of Dan Campbell's offensive philosophy. Hiring Fraley really would ensure that the Lions maintain their physical run-first identity. But this is a position that he knows extremely well, right? He knows it because he's played it at a high level. There's loyalty and commitment. I don't think I need to explain that one. And then you have a seamless transition. So unlike an external hire who you would need, or give time to learn the roster, build the relationships, understand the system, Fraley already has all that in place. So there's 7 really great things that I think are between Fraley and him taking over this offense. There's also a few bad things or some negatives, if you will, or some growth moments maybe that you'd like to call them, that wouldn't be in his favor to become the next offensive coordinator for Detroit. So I don't know. I guess on this one, I'm open to it, but I'd rather see an outside influence come into the building and Fraley still stay with the Lions. Give me your final take on this whole situation here.
With Hank Fraley, I just don't see him jumping into that role adequately enough. He's got a lot on his plate right now. He just got a new assignment with working with the running backs, in addition to the O-line. But ultimately, I think it would come down to the body of work in creating a playbook, how well he can adapt to defenses on the fly. But that's not anything that we're going to see. That's stuff they're going to discuss in an interview. I think he has a great relationship with the guys. The guys like him. They want to work for him. They want to work with him, more importantly, and they want to keep that positive attitude. I'm more of I like to look at the cup half full, not half empty when it comes to the Lions. And with Johnny Morton, I think it was a great learning curve for this young team to adapt to a new system and scheme that they weren't quite ready to implement. Like I mentioned before, this team has a lot of speed. And when you have a lot of speed and you're running tight formations, you got to wait for everybody to get out of your way so you can do your own thing. And that took time that we didn't have on a 3 or 5 step drop with an inexperienced interior O-line.
Yeah.
So
I
I
hear
think
you.
that really led to a lot of our offensive problems and why we were struggling in second and third and long situations. What we ended up being in more than enough of our fair share this season compared to previous years.
Well, I'm sure we're going to be talking about this more tomorrow. I appreciate you jumping in and giving us some of your thoughts. If you can think of any offensive coordinators that you would like to have join this squad, you want to talk about them now? Or you want to talk about it in the morning?
I can get one out right now.
Go for it.
The one I'm really interested in is over there in Miami, Mike McDaniels.
Oh, yeah.
He's worked with a spread offense. He's worked with speed at both running back and wide receivers. He kind of knows how to open up routes. I think he would be a great natural fit for us. However, I also think just listening to the way Scotty Montgomery delivered in that interview, he has a great complex knowledge of the dynamics of an offense and how he'd like to implement his own scheme. And I'm very intrigued with that perspective. I would prefer to hire from within than outside just to eliminate the simps, because guys worked hard to move up the ranks in Detroit, and now that we're winning, I'd like to see them win with us and not anywhere else.
I gotcha.
But I appreciate your time here, man. Thanks for letting me call in, and rock on, Detroit Lions.
All right, brother.
Talk to you tomorrow, buds.
All right, man. We'll see you. Take care. Have a good night.
You too. Peace.
All right, so I want to clear something up in the chat because I've seen this a few times now, that the Lions waited till the end of the season to sign a center. Let me explain this. When you are not in the playoffs, okay, it's time to clean house. It's time to clean lockers. Teams are exiting. It's game over, right? Season's over. And, if players are available, or if players are sitting on a couch or whatever, you can sign them. And so if a player was let go, if they are not retained, in this case with the Bengals former center Seth McLaughlin, he was signed to a reserve futures contract. He's a rookie. That's it. This dude just completed his rookie season. The Bengals last August, as part of the organization's 53-man roster cuts, um, he was waived, right? And then he was re-signed by the franchise to the Bengals practice squad, where he spent the entirety of the 2025 season. So when he was waived at 53-man cuts, he's now a free agent when he comes back, right? He's not under the same stipulation, the way I understand it. So I'm not sure who's calling here, but I'm not taking calls at the moment. So that's all that really is that they signed this guy as a reserve future. So it's not someone that is going to make or break the Lions season here in 2025. That wasn't going to happen. This guy wasn't going to come in and change anything. He's a rookie that barely got his feet wet in the NFL. He's definitely not a better football player than Graham Glasgow. And again, this guy's coming in to compete. That's all he's doing. He's just coming in to compete on the 90-man roster here this upcoming summer. So I firmly believe that the Lions are going to go hard and fast after some good football players. They're just getting the ground running right now, or getting the engine warm. Let me give you guys a quick update, because there's been a flurry of signings today to go along with this. Just recently here over the last half hour, the Detroit Lions have now signed exclusive rights free agents. Running back Jacob Sailors, Michael Neese, who is interior lineman, cornerback Nick Whiteside, and future signings, Jabari Small, running back, wide receiver Jackson Meeks, glad to see him coming back, wide receiver Malik Cunningham, glad to see him coming back, actually, tight end Zach Horton, offensive tackle Devin Cochran, the other interior offensive lineman Mason Miller, who is an intriguing option, glad to see him coming back. Ahmed Hassanin is back in the house, and defensive lineman Chris Smith. Where was he all year? Where was Chris Smith? He seems to kind of show up every year on these signings and then disappeared for the season this year. But last year, I believe he got some playtime. Lauren Strickland, safety, he's also back with the Lions right now. Now, there's a few names that are not signed as far as players that ended up on the Lions practice squad, and they're not getting reserve future deals as of today. And that would be quarterback C.G. Beathard, tight end Giovanni Ricci, offensive tackle Chris Hubbard, defensive lineman Miles Adams, defensive lineman Pat O'Connor, cornerback Keenan Garber, and safety DeMonte Kazi. What I forgot to do this morning, because we started, I started talking about prospects, the 6 prospects that I'm releasing on articles, is I forgot to go through the practice squad today. And I even texted Eric today, and I told him this morning and yesterday what we were going to be and I totally blew it. So I didn't get any predictions out. Oh, well, but now we know, at least for right now, who's coming back for this season. This list is going to change. There's going to be a lot of changes. And as far as some of the prospects that I'll be going over this week, and the ones that I went over this morning, and the articles that are coming out today, again, DetroitFootballJournal.com. Sign up for free right now. You'll get 6 months for free. All you do is put your email in. No credit card required or anything like that. We don't need a left arm or a right leg or a liver or a kidney. Just an email, which I don't even know your email, just to sign up. That's all. Just sign up. DetroitFootballJournal.com, and we'll give you a 6-month membership for free. And then after that, it'll just roll right into the free option. And if you want to support the channel, you can. If you want to support the website, you can. It's totally up to you, but I'm not asking you for that. I'm just trying to get people to sign up so we can get good information out there, and then you can share it with a friend, and then they can sign up. You know the deal. We're trying to grow. We're trying to grow here. I'm having fun though, man. This is what I love right now. It's the draft time. It's the end of the season. I wish we were in the playoffs, but I'm having fun going through all the film and getting ready for this next season. It makes me just as excited as anything else, honestly. Anytime we get a chance to talk football, man, it's a good time. Anything else in the chat? I'll take a couple calls now. If you'd like to call in, the number rolls across the bottom. But it's a very easy one. 313 podcast. 313 podcast. We'll go ahead and take that call. So the number that called a couple of times there that I didn't get an opportunity to pick up, feel free. And now let me get back into the chat here for a moment. 100% believe that Brad will sign a center. I don't think he's going to survive off of a UDFA guy that barely got his feet wet in his rookie year. That's not what Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes are all about. I wouldn't be surprised if we try to make a run at the best center in the league, which is Linderbaum. I wouldn't be surprised if Brad makes a run at him. But if it's too much, it's too much. And there's some good options in the draft right now for this season. So speaking of the draft, and I've just put this in my article a minute ago. Right now, you're going to see, as I have seen, a lot of draft boards. And you're going to have players like Avril Reese, the article that I just finished and will be going out here in about 15 minutes. He's ranked like number 2 overall. Caleb Downs, safety I really like. He's ranked number 1 overall. Those are the big board, right? Those are the rankings. Like, where would you rank these players as best overall football player? Not where they will get drafted. There's a difference there. Big board is just who you feel are the top 50 players in the league. Where do they rank? Top to bottom. Draft board, drafting to each team is totally different. So you might have Caleb Downs at 1 and Avril Reese or Arvel Reese at 2. They may not go till 10 and 15. Right? So, and these boards are going to change 100 times. So what you're seeing right now, I mean, don't even pay attention to it because it's going to change big time. Good. The goal is to get as educated as you can on these players because there's going to be some good guys available for this roster. Lava Sand says either Dan or Brad showed balls to fire Morton. That would be Dan. Dan's in charge of his staff. I mean, Brad, of course, could do whatever he wants, I assume. But if we understand the hierarchy here, this is Dan's staff. So it's Dan's responsibility. Brad is in charge of Dan, right? Dan's in charge of his staff. Obviously, Brad can do, whatever. What are we talking about with Joe Tippmann here? J-Rod? I love Joe Tippmann, man. He was one of my hottest prospects in the draft. Did I just miss that phone call again? He was one of my hottest prospects in the draft. What was that, 2 years ago? 23? He was someone that I wanted to be a guard center. Drake Cruzen says, I say you draft your own Linderbaum. Me too. That's kind of where I'm at. I wouldn't be spending that kind of money on Linderbaum. So that's the big question. Robbie says, with Harbaugh gone, yeah, I mentioned that earlier. No 5th-year option on Linderbaum. Could we afford him at center and draft a left tackle? I don't think so. I think the only way you could afford Linderbaum is getting rid of Taylor Decker. Will save you about $15 million this year. Getting rid of Graham Glasgow and David Montgomery would save you probably another 10 to 15 million. Then you could probably afford them. But I think those are going to be the moves. So you're going to have to give up 3 players potentially to bring in Linderbaum, and that just satisfies this year. You still need 14 other players on this roster at a minimum, and then another 16 players on the practice squad. So I don't know, man. I think that's going to be a tough nut to crack. I think Linderbaum is probably going to pull in 25, 23 million a year. Probably in that range. I mean, if you think about it, if you think about it, Penei Sewell is making what, 20, 23, 24? Somewhere in that range? I think he would make more than Penei Sewell. Quite simply because just the nature of when Penei signed. It has nothing to do with who's better than who. They don't play the same position, but it's just the nature of when Penei Sewell signed his deal. He signed a 4-year, $112 million contract. So that's 25. That's $29 million a year, or $28 million a year, whatever it is. Yeah, $28 million a year. Yeah, Linderbaum would probably be in that 25 neighborhood, somewhere around there. Oh, volume dipped again. I'm about out of here anyway. Yep, volume sure did dip. Not sure why. Every time I take a phone call now, it's dipping, and it's not supposed to do that. So I've got to figure out what that is. I'm gonna hang up the phone for now. Got to figure that out today. It's been happening for 2 weeks now. Anyway, I'll take a few more questions here in the chat, and then I'm gonna bounce. Yeah, so Joe, if you're talking Joe Tippmann, J-Rod, I don't think that Tippmann's not going to be available. He was literally just signed, or just drafted. You'd probably have to trade for him. I don't know that a team wants to give him up. He looks identical to Tate Ratledge. If you take a look at Joe Tippmann and Tate Ratledge side by side, it's hilarious. Yeah, so Tippmann was 2023, drafted to the Jets in round 2. Dude's 6'6", 313, 32 and 3/4 inch arms, 10 and 3/4 inch hands. I mean, that dude's a big dude. And the arms is not a big deal as a center. You can have 32 and 3/4 inch arms. That's not a big deal. He also has 10 and 3/4 inch hands, so that kind of makes up for it. The big hands is what you want to see, man. That way you don't lose that ball in the wet weather. Bigger hands for centers. I know I'm a numbers idiot, or whatever you want to call me, but there's certain things that I look at, man. You got to have big hands as a center because of what I just said. You don't want to lose the football when it's wet outside. Got to have those long arms as a tackle so you can extend and keep those defensive ends off you. Yeah, via trade. I don't think that's going to happen. He's too good. He's way too good. I don't think that Aaron Glenn's going to jump off of that. It's way too hard to find a center. Way too hard. And I don't see Aaron Glenn making that mistake. I'm wondering how he graded out this year. Just real quick, I'll look. He did pretty damn good, man. I mean, he's in the mid 60s to upper 60s. PFF. I know PFF sucks. But he did allow 6 sacks, had 7 penalties, but I guarantee it's not all him. And he's only played, 3 seasons now? So next year's shit or get off the pot year for Tippmann. But he has to have the right players around him. He's a good player. He's not elite yet. I want elite. I want elite. And Jake Slaughter is elite. And if you can somehow bring in Connor Lew in the 4th or 5th round and stash him for a year on NFI, do that too. I haven't seen 17 to 19.5 million. If anything, it's been way over 20. Way over 20. I mean, I can look up his Spotrac for Linderbaum. His value, but they're typically wrong. Yeah, I mean what you've put in there, that's exactly what Spotrac says. 17.7 million. It's not even close. You got Creed Humphrey in there, Cam Jurgens in there, Lloyd Cushenberry, Drew Dahlman. All of those contracts, a lot of them that were signed way before the market went crazy. Drew Dahlman was signed this last year with the Bears. No. That was a trade. wasn't it? Or did they re-sign him? Let's see here. $18 million right now is Creed Humphrey. $18 million. He's 27 years old. I wonder when he signed that contract. I wonder what year he signed it. Cam Jurgens is 17. Drew Dahlman is 14. Lloyd Cushenberry's 12.5. Linderbaum will be the next highest center contract in the league. 20, 22, somewhere in that range. Could be as high as 25. Could be a 3-year 25. The guarantee money is what's going to get you. But when you're the number one center, you're the number one player, you're going to set the record. And I can guarantee you this. The agents this year, they're saying, go look at what happened at the edge position. You want my center? It's going to cost you. Right? Someone's going to pay. They're not going to let him sit. Yeah, no, I know Dahlman signed with the Bears. That's why I was asking. I couldn't remember if he signed a new contract or if he was traded and then redid the contract. I couldn't remember. If he was a free agent. Yeah, he was a free agent last year. Yeah, so Linderbaum 17 to 18. I wouldn't think so. Quite simply because that's not the highest in the league. He's going to reset the market. It happens every year. It happens with every player. If Linderbaum is number one, why would he take less than number one money? He'll take number one money. So whatever that number is, which is more than $18 million a year, that's what he's going to get. Let's just say it's between 18 and 23 million. That's probably what it is. I don't know. I don't know that the Lions are going to be able to pull that off without losing 3 guys. I really don't. But hope we keep AQM. I do too, man. I hope he sticks around. I did not look into Cade Mays. Let me look him up for you real quick. Round 6. Yeah, so he's entering his last and final year as a free agent. For the Panthers. I don't know. I don't really know much about him, but his name just doesn't. His name just doesn't scream at me. Low 60s as far as grading. He's probably bottom 20% of centers in the league. So a couple of things to look at, and then I'm gonna bounce. But a couple of things to look at with free agency is, one, you have free agents, and 2, you have free agents that fit. Does Cade fit what we do? That's the biggest question. Does Linderbaum fit what we do? Does Tippmann fit what we do? Because I still can't believe they passed up on Tippmann. Man, I did so much work on Tippmann too. I really thought that he was a great fit. But he went too early, man. He went way too early. His production score, his athleticism score, all that stuff was it was out of this world. It's just the arms were a little short, I think. But anyway, do they fit? And what I mean by that is, do they fit the power, the power run game? Do they fit the duo run game? Do they fit the gap? I mean, you have to fit the player to the scheme. Bringing in a new offensive coordinator. That's another thing. If we bring in another guy and they're going to run their own scheme, he might want a certain player, right? I mean, it's up to Dan, but he might say, hey, look, I need these style of players to do this. And so that might change, who you bring or what type of player you bring in at center. It may not be a Linderbaum because maybe Linderbaum doesn't fit what they do. So those are the things that I'm going to be interested in when we bring in or find out that we have an offensive coordinator coming in. The first thing I'm going to go look at, what is their center? What is he all about? What is he asked to do? Go watch some tape, figure out what his assignments were, and then I'm going to go figure out the best option that we have in free agency and in the draft and compare it, because that's really the only way you can do it. I mean, that's how they do it. It's the only way you can do it. You just got to figure out what they're asked to do, man. Same body type, body size, and see if they're running the same scheme or not. You can always transition somebody a little bit, but it's kind of hard to transition them all the way. If you know what I'm saying, man. They can't just switch the scheme completely. You can't just go from playing guard your whole life to center, Tate. Like, come on, Dan. Let's not do that, please. All right, I'm out of here. I just wanted to get you guys updated on Johnny Moe. Glad we had a good conversation on it, but it's time for me to roll. It's been a long day. So we'll see you guys in the morning. All right, probably go Detroit Lions. On to the next one, man. It's been an hour. It's been a hot hour. Johnny Morton is out. Kelvin Shepard's still in. I don't think he's going anywhere. The biggest question, when do we find out that Taylor Decker's going to retire? That's big news. When are we going to find out if Graham Glasgow walks away? Because as of today, he says he's in. And who's our next offensive coordinator? Who's it going to be? Is Dan Campbell going to be stubborn and stay? Or is he going to give it away? We'll find out soon. But until the next one, you guys take care. Go Detroit Lions. Adios. I'm out of here. Pressured by